What's up? I'm Scott Stapp, and you are watching Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Gruhamed here from Loudwire, and I'm sitting here today with Mr. Scott Stapp. Thank you so much for taking some
Hey,
time
man. Good to
sit
be
down
here.
with us. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So, back on tour.
Yeah.
It must be so revitalizing for you to be out there and finally playing for your fans again.
Yeah, it really is. It's surreal.
Yeah.
You know, I about a year and a half ago had a rough time.
Yes.
And at the bottom of that experience, I didn't know whether I'd ever tour again, make music again. And so to be out there now and, having amazing shows and the fans turning out, and it just fills me with such a deep appreciation and gratitude for what I do. And it's just, it's more than even words can describe.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking back at your recent tour history, it really wasn't that long ago that you were on tour. But
Yeah.
I mean, considering everything that's happened in that span of time when you were off the road, I
Right.
was wondering, does it feel like absolutely forever? Because the last tour dates were like September 2014 or something
Right.
like that.
No, it really doesn't
Okay.
seem that long now. But during, the year and 3 months that I wasn't touring, it did feel like forever. But now that we're back at it and, we're rolling again, it just seems like we're kind of picking up where we left off.
One thing that I sort of noticed is that in your history, there's been a lot of times where you've gone off tour and then you've had some personal issues like right after you've gotten off tour. So in this latest struggle with drugs and stuff and bipolar disorder,
Yeah.
was it shortly after your last tour that these troubles came up that you lost your sobriety?
It was actually during the tour.
During the tour, okay.
And then I had a bipolar episode, which was really fueled and metastasized, if you will, by the drug use.
Yeah.
And so it as horrific as it was, it's really turned into a blessing in disguise, because something that I had been, battling for 20 years and really couldn't put a finger on what it was, has finally come to light, and it's treated, and I really feel like I've got a new lease on life. The low lows of depression and then the high highs of mania
Sure.
are gone. And, in looking back in my life, that's really why I used drugs and alcohol, to manage the way that I was feeling, because I didn't feel right.
So this was the first time you were actually diagnosed with
Yeah.
bipolar.
Yes.
So beforehand, was there any other diagnosis that was incorrect?
I was diagnosed just with simple depression.
Okay.
And, really, to be honest with you, it was on tour. I walked into a walk-in clinic in 1998.
Sure. So
Told a doctor I wasn't feeling right, and some doctor I didn't know, and he threw me on an antidepressant and sent me on my way. And I really had no idea that you weren't supposed to drink on antidepressants.
Right,
and
yeah.
It could have some devastating side effects, and all of which I experienced
Yeah.
after that, and some of those in the public eye. So, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, a lot of them due to ignorance. But and a lot that I regret, especially from where I stand today with the perspective that I have on the last 20 years of my life. There's a lot of things I wish I could do different, and some of it was out of my control. But the things that were in my control, I definitely know I don't want to do again, and want to just keep moving forward in a positive way, man, and maintain the sobriety and live the healthy lifestyle that has really been a gift that's been given to me, this new way of life, because I feel like I just have a new freedom to be the best artist I can be, to be the best husband I can be, and father I can be, and friend that I can be.
yeah, and that is interesting that you were that a doctor would just prescribe you medicine like that, just from like a walk-in. I mean, speaking from experience, I'm also on medication myself, so I understand where you're coming from and what kind of real support and the kind of doctor that you need to see
Right.
for that kind of thing. And also when you're on the wrong medication, it can make
Right.
you worse.
Right.
And it
Right.
just makes you cloudy and bad.
And can make you manic.
Absolutely, very
Especially,
manic.
if you're bipolar, and that happened to me.
Yeah.
And so, I've done a lot of research and done a lot of studying trying to fully accept my diagnosis, because at first I didn't want to be bipolar. I shared stigmas that a lot of people have out there about what bipolar meant, and I was afraid of how people were going to perceive me and what that meant, and so I didn't want to have it.
Yeah.
And in the research that I've done and the studying that I've done, I fit right into the same kind of demographic and diagnosis schedule that most people who have bipolar fit into. It usually takes 10 to 12 years to get a proper diagnosis.
Yes, it's very, very difficult to actually diagnose
Right.
someone with bipolar.
Right. And for me, it just became glaringly obvious during my last episode, with the delusions, the paranoia, the mania, the alternate reality that my mania put me in, made it so clear that it was pretty easy to finally get the right diagnosis. And it really just gave me so many answers as to the last 20 years of my life, and why this roller coaster ride of ups and downs.
You were on these drugs and putting out those videos that got a lot of people concerned.
Yeah.
You know, from someone who's been on those drugs, is it possible to at all describe to someone who has no experience with stuff like that what it does to your brain when you're on it? Or if you can in any way look outside yourself and say
Yeah.
and understand like how bad things have gotten.
It just makes everything 100 times worse.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. My brain chemistry was not balanced at the time, and so I was in a parallel universe, man. I liken it to I thought I was freaking Jason Bourne, man.
Right, yeah.
I thought, and I don't want to get into all the details and relive all that, but it was scary, man. It was really scary, and it was so real to me. I really thought that, government agencies were tracking me and, trying to do experiments on me, and people were tapped into my cell phone and computer, and I mean, it was scary. It was real, and it's amazing how our brain can operate out of balance and how it can cause us to perceive the world. And I'm just thankful today to be sitting here talking to you, balanced and stable and sober and on tour,
Yeah.
doing what I love.
Yeah, it really is a pretty amazing turnaround of, because, I mean, whether it be pills or meth or anything like that, it's such extreme drugs.
Yeah.
And the use and these experiences that you went through. So extreme, and now you seem to be very much centered.
Yeah.
And, your personal life was going down the tubes.
Yeah.
Your wife was filing for divorce at the
Yeah.
time. I read that you had lost custody of your children.
Yeah.
How do you turn that around? I mean, how do you gain the trust of those people?
It was a tremendous amount of work. Everything in my life came to a halt, and I spent over a year demonstrating to my wife and my family that I was serious about my recovery. I was serious about my health, and not only articulating that to them, but doing the work, seeing the doctors, going through the treatment programs, living in sober living home, doing everything that I needed to do to show my wife, I'm gonna fight this, I'm gonna treat this, And I'm going to do this not only for myself, but because I love you and I love our family and I want our family together. Like Sharon is to Ozzy,
Oh wow, yeah.
that's what she is to me.
That's a unique dynamic
Yeah.
there with with those
Yeah.
two. But hey, they've been through a lot too, and they're still together. So
Yeah.
if it's working, then wonderful.
Yeah.
We actually got the opportunity to break the news that you had completed a treatment program,
Right.
because it was really awesome, because we had Mark Tremonti in here.
Yeah.
And he let us know that you had been in there and you were out and doing well and all
Right.
that stuff. And he was also talking about having some communication with you
Yeah.
while, I think both while you were going through your episodes and then afterwards. Can you tell us a little bit about what I think he said that he texted you
Yeah.
shortly after the first video
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah, he texted me and basically was like, dude, stop, you need to get help. And that was really the extent of it. And I was in kind of a parallel universe at the time, so I wasn't listening to anybody. But, looking back, I appreciate that he cared enough to reach out to me and try to help. He spoke with my wife and
Okay.
my oldest son, and I'm really grateful that he was there for me and my family as a friend during that crisis in our life, and I just appreciate him so much for that.
Great. So, now that you've gone through all that, you're in a really good place.
Yeah.
You're back. What are the new plans? Of course you're on tour right now, but
Yeah.
is there more touring coming? A new solo album? I know that recently you kind of said sort of casually, like, "Hey guys, in Creed, let's come together and do something."
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Well, right now I'm working on, of course, touring.
Mhm.
I'm still promoting the Proof of Life album. I kind of took over a year off to get my health together, so
Sure.
I didn't feel like I
Fairly
thor-
important in this
thoroughly,
whole process.
yeah, very. I didn't think and feel like I thoroughly worked the record. So, I'm continuing to work that record and tour the world. We did South Africa, and now we're
Oh wow.
here in the States, and we're going to be announcing some more tour dates here soon for the United States as well as some other countries. So I'm excited about that. And at the same time, I'm working on a new album, full-length album. It's a separate project from my solo work.
Okay.
And I'll be making an announcement on the details of who I'm doing that album with and what we're all about in late March, in late February, early March.
Okay. Some well-known musicians, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that project. And then I'm also beginning to write for my next solo record. I don't have a definitive timeline. I know that my goal is to have my next solo record out sometime in 2017. But we'll just see how it plays out. I've got a lot of things going on right now that I'm very excited about. And, I'm creating and making music and also doing the live shows and I'm doing what I love. And so it's an exciting time in my life, man. And I really feel like as long as I just keep living life one day at a time and doing what I'm supposed to do every day, I think, the sky's the limit, man.